Welcome back. Catholic Charities Diocese of Nashville is gearing up for its 2025 Festival of Hope fundraising breakfast. Money raised will go to serve thousands in our area. Judy Orr, the executive director of Catholic Charities, says that the assistance is done through a holistic program known as the 3 E's: emergency assistance, emotional support, and employment services. Through the 8 locations for Catholic Charities, an estimated 26,000 people are helped annually.
That's a pretty high number. Many nonprofits that you might speak to are helping several thousand perhaps, but because of the fact that we are aligned with the 38 counties in Middle Tennessee, that's the Diocese of Nashville, that gives us, a much broader reach. And we're also connected in with the whole Catholic parish network system. So there's Catholic churches in most of the 38 counties of Middle Tennessee.
For those who may not be aware, talk to us about the changing in times, because again, we're seeing just a lot of things happening right now when it comes to immigrants coming in. And what are you seeing? How does that change?
Yeah, so we are one of many across the country who are federal contractors, and so we work with legal immigrants, and this refugee program has been in place since 1980. It was created from congressional action, and there are very strict rules about it. In fact, it's one of the many reimbursement grants. So what we see happening is the president made an executive order to pause new admissions. In the state of Tennessee, there might be 2,000 in a busy year, and that's not just my agency, but across the whole state, 2,000 people coming in. So it's very small numbers compared to what most people perceive. But in the case of where we are now, new admissions are paused, and we are still working through cases that we took ahead of Inauguration Day. Those people have anywhere from 6 to 12 months to get settled, and so the obligation we have as a contractor is to get them on their feet, paying their own bills by the time they are here. Usually it's about 8 months.
I have a question to follow up as far as like success stories, but with this being paused, for those who are coming in who would like to be legal immigrants in the United States, how challenging is it for them to not be able to go through the process that they're dreaming of?
Oh, it's extremely challenging. This is a very, very comprehensive vetting process that a person in a foreign country has to go through. They have to apply for refugee status, and this can take multiple years. And in some cases, they literally are living in refugee camps, awaiting a decision about their case. The vetting is so intensive that if there is any question that this person should not come to the United States, they won't be admitted. And so there are many who, as you pointed out, were ready to come, and when they made the pause, that they couldn't come. So yes, it's often the case that people are being reunited with family members that are already here. So this is a really heartbreaking situation for those families. And of course, don't forget that many of the people who were granted refugee status are folks who did help the United States government, like in the case of Afghanistan several years ago.
Talk to us about some of those success stories and what you've seen and what you've heard.
Well, the truth is this program has an amazing track record. Virtually everyone is able to become self-sufficient by the end of 12 months. And so we have very intensive staff case management where we help people to get employment and just make sure that all of the connections they need to make in the community get made so that they can become successful. And in many cases, in most cases, people who are arriving from a foreign country, we don't select who comes and we don't make the decisions. We're just a contractor that accepts whoever is decided by the federal government. But it's typically the case that if you are, let's say, from Afghanistan, you would come to a community where there's already a community of people from Afghanistan, and so it builds that natural support system that people need to be successful. So we have very, very few people who are not able to get on their own feet very quickly. And what we find in our work here, and many of our staff are not Catholic, and of course the people we serve are not Catholic necessarily, is that we sort of leave our faith tradition at the door, and we just in solidarity, work to help our neighbors. So I think that might be one thing that people don't know. The other thing is I mentioned before, the volume. So the number of people coming here from foreign countries is not nearly as great as public perception. So people have the notion that Catholic Charities is helping tens of thousands of foreign-born people come here, and that's just simply not the case. We don't have the means to do that. We are typically funded, as I say, by the federal government, and so we follow those guidelines that they give us. We really have no ability to help people who are not coming through the legal process. We don't have the money to do that. We just do not have the means to do that. So, and when I say that we helped 26,000 people in Middle Tennessee, in this past year, only about 1,000 of those were the foreign-born people we're talking about.
Okay. And the others were?
Native-born United States citizens.
Okay. But you need the funding to be able to help those that you're helping.
Very much. We need, I mean, really, all of the people we help, no matter what the program is, are all in the same situation. They're trying to take care of themselves and their families. And they need food, and they need employment, and they need barriers removed like transportation and child care. And so it's very important for us to try to raise money in addition to what the federal government provides for these programs when we contract with them, because there's often exceptions, gaps in funding where people need additional assistance, and maybe it is transportation. So when we receive donations from the general public, usually what we do is we actually expand the amount of food that we provide to people, because that's always needed, and all of us know how much food is costing nowadays. So if you can give food or even vouchers for the grocery store, that enables them to spend their money, let's say, on a car repair, because we don't really have the funding so much for that. But it's really, sometimes it's some other unexpected expense, could be medical. So if we can help them pay a utility bill, they can pay their medical bill. So there's any number of things that, all of us encounter.
How can we, for those of us with the heart to maybe give a little bit or to give time, is that possible?
So we have 2 buttons on our website. One is for volunteers and one is for donations. And we would welcome people to come, people of goodwill to come and help us serve our neighbors. We would very much welcome financial support. Like many nonprofits, we have an annual fundraiser, and that fundraiser is coming up in just a few weeks, the Festival of Hope. And we do that as a breakfast event, and is out here at the Catholic Pastoral Center, which is right across from Gaylord Opryland. It might seem far to some people, but it is very easy to get here, and we have ample parking. But we will have a lot of wonderful surprises. It's a very upbeat event, and you can learn more about that on our website.
Well, that is great. What is the donation amount you would like to reach, or that you're hoping to reach?
What we're trying to raise this year is $100,000 from our attendees.
But you said there's sponsorships.
Right. Sponsorships are also available, and you can find out more about those on our website as well, and they're modestly priced. But this is critical funding for us to help our families in need. So many people assume that we are fully funded by the Catholic Church, but in fact, the Church provides a generous base funding for us, but it's very important that we raise this additional funding each year in order to help all of the neighbors in need who seek our help.
Judy, thank you so much for sharing this with us. She says it really is people paying it forward, because people who have been helped are now helping out and giving their time. Judy's family has its own immigration story. In fact, 3 generations ago, they came over from Eastern Europe.